All things Mavs.
Mavs fans, welcome into another edition of the All Things Mavs podcast. Whether you're tuned in on YouTube or Apple Podcasts, thank you for listening. Make sure you go subscribe to the channel at youtube.com/allthingsmavs. We are well on our way to 4,000 subscribers, and with the season back in action, I don't want you guys to miss a single thing. I mean, the last podcast that we posted after the win over the Los Angeles Lakers did really, really well. You guys obviously really enjoyed that. So I wanted to make sure I recorded another podcast after the game of the Indiana Pacers and Dallas Mavericks first scrimmage. Or second scrimmage, actually, for the Dallas Mavericks. But it was a loss today, not a win for the Mavs. The Pacers got the win 118-111, but it was a really, really good game for the Dallas Mavericks. So before we get into the box score, because I know it's really important for you guys to hear the stats, because right now with the preseason, it's not super easy. I guess it's a preseason. Is that what you call this thing? The scrimmages, I guess. It's not super easy and convenient to find the box scores. So I'm going to read that off to you here in just a minute, but we do have a little piece of news that I wanted to get to first, because if you noticed, one guy did not play. One really important guy did not play in Kristaps Porzingis. So turns out he was a scratch right before the game started. And really all it was apparently, quote unquote, Rick Carlisle, a minor hiccup. Rick Carlisle said, Kristaps Porzingis is unavailable for tonight. He broke one of the protocols yesterday. He did not get tested. Just forgot to get tested. So when that happens, for safety reasons, he's unable to join the team the following day. He's getting retested tomorrow. So I'm not sure when you're listening to this, but he will be getting retested on Monday. And I believe he'll be able to rejoin the team then. So nothing to worry about, but it is good to see that the NBA is taking really extreme precaution with this kind of stuff. You know, we saw the mess that is Lou Williams going to the gentleman's club when he was supposed to be at a funeral or whatever it was, and now all of a sudden he's going to be missing the first two seeding games for the Los Angeles Clippers. Sixth Man of the Year candidate missing 2 games because he broke protocol. So could have been a lot worse, but all it was simply Kristaps just forgetting to take a test. Not sure how that happens. Because you're in the bubble with all your teammates. So it sucks for sure that we didn't get to see him knock off some rust because he didn't have a great first game. But hopefully we'll get him back this next game, the last tune-up game before the regular seeding games get going. But again, not a major thing. Definitely something we want to keep an eye out on, though. But remember, we were just talking about Kristaps Porzingis. What do we do in the comment sections? You guys know the drill now. When you hear Kristaps Porzingis' name on the channel, I want to see the unicorns in the comment section to make sure you guys are paying attention. So if you're listening on YouTube, scroll on down, take a minute, put that unicorn emoji in the comment section. And now let me read the box score off to you guys from the game against the Indiana Pacers. Now, this game was all about Luka Doncic. I mean, right from the beginning, he could not be stopped. It was really quite impressive what he was doing to this Pacers defense. Now, obviously, the lineup looked a little bit different. They went with Luka Doncic starting with the normal Seth Curry, Tim Hardaway Jr., and Dorian Finney-Smith, but Maxi Kleber got the start because there was no Kristaps Porzingis, as I mentioned before. And Luka, 24 minutes. Puts up 20 points, 11 rebounds, 9 assists, 1 of 4 from 3, but everything he was getting, I mean, when he got going downhill, he could not miss. He was getting to the rim at ease, slithering around the defense. A great game from Luka Doncic. I'll talk about him more here in just a minute. I just want to go through the box score real fast. Maxi Kleber, 18 points and 6 rebounds on 4 of 6 from 3-point. JJ Barea with a real nice showing at 14 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 of 8 from 3, 5 of 13 from the field for him. Justin Jackson, that's right, we're still on Justin Jackson Island here on the All Things Mavs channel. 12 points on 1 of 3 shooting from 3-pointer. He also had 3 assists. 11 points for Boban Marjanovic and 6 rebounds. Seth Curry, he only had 8 points, not as good of a game, but he did go 2 of 3 from 3. Only 1 missed 3. All of his other shots that he missed were from the mid-range and around the rim. Tim Hardaway Jr., not a stellar game. He kind of was chucking up shots, 7 points, 2 of 11 from the field, 2 of 6 from 3. Dorian Finney-Smith had 7 points, 6 rebounds, and he was really playing that important big man position without KP. DeLon Wright, 6 points, 2 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 of 4 from the field. Antonius Cleveland got 24 minutes out of the G League. He scored 6 points. Both of those were 3-pointers in the corner. And then Josh Reeves, the last Dallas Maverick to play, also scored. He got 2 points, 3 rebounds, 0 of 3 from the field. So those 2 points came from free throw attempts. Trey Burke, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, both did not play once again for a coach's decision. Maybe as you guys are listening to this, you know more than me at this point, but I haven't seen any reason as to why MKG hasn't played. Obviously Trey Burke isn't going yet because he doesn't have enough practices, but maybe MKG, I would assume, is probably in the same boat. So that was the box score. Obviously the point per game, the point leader was Luka Doncic with 20 points. The assist leader was Luka Doncic with 9 assists, and the rebound leader was Luka Doncic with 11 rebounds. Maxi Kleber led the way with 4 3-pointers, and Maxi Kleber also led the way with 7 field goals. So a real great game from Maxi. But I want to talk about the winners and the losers and kind of implications from this second game and what I see that the Mavs really need to work on going into their final tune-up game against the Philadelphia 76ers. So we're going to do that next. So, listen. Didn't get the win, but the first half was really impressive. The Mavs won the first quarter 37-26, lost the second quarter 35-27, and then the second half was really a third quarter blowout by the Pacers when the Mavs started to get some other guys in there. And also, I think the biggest thing, the reason the Mavs kind of let this lead slip, they were going into zone defense, and usually zone defense with Rick Carlisle works pretty well, but it didn't work so well this time because the Pacers were just killing them from, just chucking up 3-pointers. Not the Pacers so much as a whole, but Victor Oladipo knocked down 4 3-pointers for them, and Mavs just couldn't guard him in that zone defense. So that kind of killed us, and that was really the reason that I think we lost this game, was just going into that zone, but also not having rim protection. I mean, Maxi and Boban down low is good, but when you got Miles Turner in the middle, and even TJ Warren was kind of bullying some of the Mavs down low as well, and no KP to guard the rim, that was really, really troublesome. So need Kristaps Porzingis back. I think that was the biggest reason the Mavs lost this game, was the fact that they couldn't protect the rim, and then the zone defense wasn't working that well. So defense. Offense, not a problem at all. They made 15 3-pointers and went 39 of 90 from the field. So they put up 90 shots, put up 38 3-pointers, which was 7 more than the Indiana Pacers. They also... rebounding wasn't terrible. They only got out-rebounded 52-44. So, again, not great. You'd like to see that better, but not a great rebounding night, but that's okay. I think the main thing was just no rim protection, but I'm not really worried about that. That really wasn't anything that I take away as, we got to be better at that. No, when you don't have one of, a top 5 shot blocker in the league in KP, you're not going to be able to protect the rim real well. So let's talk about some individuals here and who really stood out from this game. Number one, I already talked about him, but I'm going to talk about him again. Luka Doncic. Dude, this kid is ready to play. I mean, he is ready to step into the moment and lead this team to a really solid playoff spot. I'm excited to see what he can do, and it really was just a great overall game for him. He was rebounding the ball well. Now, again, a lot of the rebounds were uncontested, which is something that a lot of people complain about, but, who cares? In the box score, it's still 11 rebounds. But the passes he was making, man, a lot of no-look passes, a lot of flashy looks, a lot of passes. He could have gotten a couple more assists, but a couple teammates missed some passes and missed some shots off those passes. But he was knocking down his shots. He was getting to the rim at ease. I mean, he knows how to use that 6'7", 6'8" body that he's got and just get to the rim and push the pace. I mean, he was pushing the pace in the fast break. He would get the rebound and push it right away, get all the way to the rim. Nobody was stopping him. He missed a couple gimmies, but I think that just comes with knocking off the rust. So this game was all about Luka Doncic. But the second guy who really from the get-go, and by the way, I mean, at the half, Luka at 15 minutes already had, I believe, 14 points. So it was really a first half game for Luka Doncic. But Maxi Kleber also, great game, put into the starting lineup, really showed that, if KP's down and he has to step up, that he can do that. And defensively, not so great. He didn't look great defensively, but, man, the three-point shot looked so much smoother than it did in the regular season. The first game, he didn't look so hot for scrimmage, but this second scrimmage, man, that three-point shot looked smooth. He had no hesitation. He got it off quickly, and it showed because he went 4 of 6 from 3. He also had a couple nice layups. He was ready for the ball. He scored 18 points. So a great game from Maxi Kleber in just 23 minutes of action. And, if Maxi can come off the bench and really be that center go-to piece as a piece of the bench, that's really important. Obviously, you got DeLon coming off the bench with him. We'll talk about him more in a minute here. But Maxi Kleber is so important to this team. And the reason, and here's the thing, the second unit tonight was DeLon Wright, Antonius Cleveland, Boban Marjanovic, JJ Barea, and Justin Jackson. That's not going to be a usual lineup. Like, no, Rick Carlisle is not going to sub those lineups in. He's going to stagger the lineups. We're going to go 7 or 8 deep. You know, it's not something we're going to see 5 guys go in and out like we're seeing in these scrimmages. Rick just wants to see them get the rust knocked off. So don't overreact to the lack of production from this bench, because that's not how it's going to be. Usually the bench is going to be some mixture of DeLon Wright, Maxi Kleber, and Luka, or KP, or one of the other starters like Tim Hardaway Jr. or Seth Curry. So that's not something I'm worried about. People mentioned it in the last scrimmage that our bench looked way too thin, but it only looks thin because we're going 5 in, 5 out, and that's not a normal thing. That's not something you're going to see in the regular season, is all 5 starters coming out with all 5 bench guys. That's not something that is normal, but if Maxi Kleber's in the bench lineup, you can definitely guarantee that they're going to look pretty solid. So good night for him. JJ Barea, the veteran, and this is why, you know, again, he's not going to play 23 minutes a night in the regular season, but it is really important for him to be able to get up off the bench and go when you need him to. You know, all of his points, most of his points really came in the fourth quarter. He kind of let a little comeback there at the end. But 14 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists. You know, for the only guy on this team that has true championship experience, you want him to be able to step up in those crunch time moments when needed. You know, he's not always going to be used in crunch time, but there's going to be times where you need a veteran leader on the floor, and that's what JJ Barea does, and I'm so happy for him, man. It's so good to see a guy coming off an Achilles injury, 35 years old, be able to produce at the point that he's producing. So great for JJ Barea, good team morale booster, because everyone loves JJ. I mean, everyone from the team to the fans. Really important for him to get a good game going. By the way, if we got any fans watching or listening from Puerto Rico, hometown of JJ Barea, give us a shout out in the comment section. I appreciate that. Another guy who looked good again tonight. I'm not going to talk about him too much because I always talk about him, but Justin Jackson, 12 points, finished around the rim well, 3 assists, passed it well. 3-point shot still doesn't look great at 1 of 3, but, you know, if he's getting the floater game, I'm fine with him not getting a 3-point shot. Also, Dorian Finney-Smith. I know I'm basically saying everyone looked good, but Dorian Finney-Smith did look good as a defender. As a big man, he was really mixing it up down low. He was rebounding the ball really well. He was playing great defense, as we need him to do. 3-point shot. He only shot 1, but he went 1 of 1 and went 3 of 4 from the field. So, again, if he can get the ball to get going, if he can get that shot to get going, you know, he's one of the most important players on this team. So, 4 guys that really stood out to me: Luka Doncic, Maxi Kleber, JJ Barea, and Justin Jackson. I guess 5 with Dorian Finney-Smith. So, really impressed with them. But a couple guys, again, that kind of disappointed and let down. Talk about them here next. Listen, only 2 guys. The only 2 guys that really were just kind of like, man, I could have used more. DeLon Wright again, man. Here's the thing. DeLon Wright was passing the ball real well, and he was rebounding the ball not rebounding the ball, but playing defense really well, passing the ball well. That's all fine and dandy. But listen, when DeLon Wright gets around the rim, he knows how to finish, but he kept looking to pass. And it was so frustrating. There were 2 times that he got right to the rim, could have had an easy layup, but he looked to pass it out. And I want DeLon Wright to finish because I want him to be a threat offensively. If he can be a threat offensively, he can take a little bit of load off of Luka Doncic's shoulders and a little bit of the load off of KP's shoulders, and he can be able to be that guard to come in and make offensive plays that aren't just passing. You know, I was, again, happy with his offensive play on the passing side. But I need DeLon Wright to score the ball every once in a while. I need him to be an offensive threat so that the defender can't just leave him wide open. So not a great game for him all around. I mean, not a terrible game for him all around, but could have been better. Could have scored a few more buckets. 3 fouls, 6 points, 2 steals, 2 turnovers, 5 assists, 2 rebounds, 2 of 4 from the field. Should have had at least 4 or 5 more layups. I mean, seriously, could have had at least 3 or 4 more. The other guy who had an off night was Tim Hardaway Jr. You know, he knocked down his first 3, and that was good to see. But then he kept chucking up shots, and he was kind of just trying to get himself going, and it wasn't happening. He was 2 of 11 from the field, 2 of 6 from 3. But Tim Hardaway Jr. isn't a guy that I worry about at this point because he's a veteran, and I think he can get his shot whenever he needs it to. It just wasn't happening tonight, and that's okay. It's not something that I want to worry about, but it is something that I wanted to bring attention to and at least say, hey, he didn't have a good night. But really, he and DeLon Wright were the only 2 guys that I was a little bit let down by. Everyone else, pretty solid tonight. I was really happy with Antonius Cleveland's minutes. I think he's going to be, helpful when needed, but he's not going to be used a ton. However, he showed that he can be a reliable three-point shooter, and that's what you really need out of him. So again, Dallas Mavericks fall in their second scrimmage to the Indiana Pacers, 118-111, but the Mavs still have one more scrimmage against the Philadelphia 76ers coming up, and that is going to be a very, very important tune-up game. I want to see a lot of KP in that game. I mean, I want to see him go hard and be able to protect the rim and go up against a guy like Joel Embiid. I think it's going to be super important. I think it's going to be a big-time game for the Mavs, a big-time scrimmage to really show that, hey, they are ready for the regular season game. So, Mavs fans, I appreciate you tuning into the podcast. As always, follow me on Twitter at all_things_Mavs. Make sure you go follow me on my personal account as well at Jimmy_Crowther, and subscribe to the channel at youtube.com/allthingsMavs. Mavs fans, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll talk to you next time.